Welcome back to week 9 of the Prop Shop. I am your host, PropHolliday, rocking with the boys from GoldBoys for my favorite plays on Thursday Night Football. Now, sorry, my phone's giving me some issues. I apologize. All right, we are back. Sorry. Thursday Night Football, we have the Indianapolis Colts and the Minnesota Vikings, but first, a recap of the 1 p.m. games. Falcons blow out the Cowboys. Cooper Rush ends up finishing the game. Dak Prescott caught on camera saying we fucking suck. Very astute observation by Dak Prescott as the Falcons continue advancing the NFC South. Baltimore blows out Denver. Not much there in the game other than Derrick Henry's performance. Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Bengals blow out the Raiders. Bills win on a last-second field goal over Miami, continue to go ahead in the AFC East. Saints somehow lose to the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young gets his 3rd career win. Chris Olave, injured early in the first quarter, was carted off the field, later tweeting in the game that he's all right. Good sign there. Tons of jabs thrown by former Saints wide receiver Michael Thomas at Derek Carr, pretty much saying, Carr thought I was jealous that Olave was the wide receiver 1. And he needs to be punched in the mouth. I don't know about all that, but glad Olave is all right. Titans beat the Patriots in overtime in the Who Gives a Shit Bowl. Home teams were 6-2 straight up today. Only road victory. Commanders over the Giants in MetLife and Chargers over the Browns. Big performances from the 1 p.m. slate. Derrick Henry, 2 touchdowns. Joe Burrow, 5 passing touchdowns. 1 rushing, 1 receiving for Devon Achane of Miami. J.K. Dobbins, 2 touchdowns. Zay Flowers, 2 touchdowns. Mike Gesicki, 2 touchdowns. Terry McLaurin, 2 touchdowns. If you had any combination of those, you have had yourself a day. Sadly, I was not on any of those guys, at least in the 2-touchdown category. Quentin Johnson of the Chargers, 118 and a tutty. Cortland Sutton, 122 and a tutty. Notable no-touchdown games. I'm going to start bringing these up more and more in the recaps for Sunday. Notable, like these odds were juiced. Bijan Robinson, I gave it out in my collab with JD this week. Bijan Robinson, no touchdown. Alvin Kamara, no touchdown. Both of those guys were minus 175 or higher. Did not find the end zone. CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors both kept out of the end zone. So some big names that did not get in there. And then some really good performances from the other guys. But let's look at tonight's matchup. We've had some shitty Sunday night football games. We've had some shitty primetime games, we're being completely honest. A lot of Jets, a lot of Giants. I know the NFL loves to pump that East Coast. Starts at 8. Let's get the viewership up. None of that tonight, and I think we actually have a good game. So interesting storylines in this. Colts are 5.5-point underdogs against the Minnesota Vikings. The big title of this, the big headline is Joe Flacco gets the start. Anthony Richardson is bench. It's his 2nd year. They are 4-4, the Indianapolis Colts, and I think Shane Steichen said, we have a shot at a wild card in the AFC if we keep playing with a guy like Flacco who can move the ball, move the chains, take a little bit off our defense, because Anthony Richardson, it looked bad. The other side of this coin is when you drafted Anthony Richardson in the 1st round out of Florida, he had no game experience. You knew that going in, but he was a physical specimen, probably the last one we've seen since Cam Newton, and he just needed the reps. Well, when you bench him, you don't get that. And then you go to a 40-year-old Joe Flacco. So a little controversy there. And we're kind of seeing this with some of these younger quarterbacks. The leash has been shorter. I mean, Bryce Young, Zach Wilson. I'm sure there's a couple other names that are escaping me. Anthony Richardson. But the leash is shorter on these guys. And I think they're finding out that their knowledge, this is what Tom Brady was saying in the offseason, that their knowledge just isn't as far along as you want in a starting quarterback, and they're pretty much coaching to their comfort level. But that can only go so far in the NFL. Once we have enough tape on you, it's a done deal. So that's on the Colts side of things. On the other side, Minnesota coming off back-to-back losses. They started 5-0. They lose to the Rams on Thursday Night Football, but they get T.J. Hawkinson back. He makes his debut, and the total is sitting at 46.5. I think this is actually a decent football game, so I'm excited before I go into my props. But the first one out of the gate, Michael Pittman, Indianapolis Colts wide receiver, over 52.5 receiving yards. I got this over on FanDuel Sportsbook. The entire world is on Josh Downs. His line is completely nuked. I don't even want to touch it for the juice it has and the either his yards or his receiving. Josh Downs plays better with Joe Flacco. I agree with that. But I'm not going in that direction tonight because I think it's just been bet to high hell. I'm going to pivot to Michael Pittman, who deserves just as much attention as Downs because he has good figures playing with Joe Flacco. After watching Puka Nacua tear up Minnesota last weekend in primetime, hadn't played since week 1. I think he had 6 receptions, over 100 yards, and he was on limited snaps. I look at Michael Pittman as a big body wide receiver to have a similar outcome. 18 targets in the 3-game stretch that Flacco played this season, where he played 80% or more of the snaps, 24% target rate against zone coverage, and the Minnesota Vikings run zone coverage at a 3rd highest rate. So you get Flacco back, and you get a defense scheme that you've had success against. Josh Downs just as successful against zone, but again, I'm going with Pittman tonight. Assuming that this is a higher score game at 46.5, I think Pittman's in for a big night. So 52.5 is a line I would play. I would play it up to 75 plus. If you're feeling ballsy and you got a no sweat bet somewhere, maybe go 100 plus. But 52.5 and 75 is probably where I'd lay my head tonight. It is worth mentioning for Michael Pittman, hint, 2 of his touchdowns this season, the only 2 this season, both came with Joe Flacco under center. So riding with Pittman as my first 1-unit play tonight. DraftKings has an awesome offer. If you're into DraftKings, if you bet $5, you get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Perfect for new users looking to jump in. Just follow the link in the description. You must be 21 plus, 18 plus in Kentucky or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Thank you for the people over at DraftKings. I was just following on Twitter one of the guys from Barstool. I think his name is Henry Lockwood. He's down to Marvin Harrison Jr. for a touchdown to win like $31K off his King of the Court bonus bet. He had Devin Booker, I think it was on Thursday night, for 241. So the guys at DraftKings are sweating this out. He's got 241 bonus bet to win 31 grand if Marvin Harrison scores. Pretty cool. Don't watch that stream. Watch this one, then switch over. But I'm rooting for the guy. Second play for tonight, I'm going half a unit on this. I'm going Joe Flacco over 1.5 passing touchdowns at plus 136. I am bringing it down to half a unit. I'm a little bit nervous about the trend, but the trend is obvious. He's hit this in all 3 games that he's played 80% of snaps or more. He's playing really good football. Vikings defense coming off that awful performance against Stafford. Like Stafford had 3 touchdowns. According to PFF, I don't love all their grades, but they have an advantage across the offensive line in terms of pass blocking, in terms of run blocking. I love seeing that they have some type of advantage. And Colts, 7-1 against the spread this season, 5-0 as underdogs, and Flacco is 6-1 against the spread over the last 2 seasons. He's playing good football. I'm not saying he's Peyton Manning. I'm saying he's playing above average football, and they have weapons on this Colts defense. You have Jonathan Taylor back. You have a decent offensive line. So I'm a little skeptical of the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to find if they're fool's gold or not. Their 2 losses were to Detroit and the Rams. And I know you're going to say, well, the Rams suck. The Rams had 2 games this season where they had Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. They went to overtime with Detroit, and they beat Minnesota. So a fully healthy Rams team is not a bad team in the NFL. We just haven't seen a lot of it so far this season. When it comes to this Colts game, they're getting 5.5 points. I see the total at 46.5. I think Flacco for 2 passing touchdowns at plus 136, it's worth it for me at half a unit. So 1 unit on Pittman, half a unit on Flacco. Before we go into the touchdown liquor cabinet, let's hear from my buddy Brad Thomas.
Wait, before we get back to the picks, I wanted to thank you all for watching. Friends don't let friends watch videos without hitting the like button. So go ahead and press the thumbs up button and like the video. If you're new here and not subscribed, you should go ahead and do so because we're dropping new content each and every day on the GoldBoys Network. We strive to cover every sport and give out picks and analysis and valuable information for free on the GoldBoys Network. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell so you can get notified when we drop something new. I'm Brad Thomas. Let's get back to the picks.
Thank you, my blue-haired friend. I appreciate you segueing over from the GoldBoys. Touchdown liquor cabinet for tonight. We got my top shelf, my mid shelf, and well vodka. Even though the total's sitting at 46.5, I don't have a top shelf score for. I don't have a guy that I would put 1 unit on. The big reason for that is the big names are juiced. We're seeing this all week. I went over it in the touchdown collab with JD, which did not fare well today. But these books are really crushing us with some of these touchdown odds. So Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones, Jonathan Taylor, all minus 115 or worse. And that's shopping around at every book I can find. Of the three, I'd probably lean Justin Jefferson. Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones and Justin Jefferson both left out of the end zone last week against the Rams. I just like this offense. I think I think the Colts offense is gonna be able to score from 20 yards and out with Flacco at the helm. So if you're asking me, out of all those three, who would you bet on? Who would you put in the same game parlay? I got Justin Jefferson in one of my SGPs tonight for a touchdown. So that's who I would use, but I wouldn't put any one unit on these guys at minus 115 or worse. Where the mid shelf is where I'm going to do my work tonight. Michael Pittman plus 220. 2 touchdowns for Pittman this season. Both of them came from Joe Flacco. The other one, I'm going Alec Pierce at plus 350. So I'm going with 2 Colts wide receivers. There's a trend here. I'm either going to ride or die on Flacco. One touchdown for Pierce in 2 starts with Joe Flacco. So both of these guys, plus 220, plus 350, are getting half a unit from me. That's where I think there's more value tonight. It's not in the Justin Jefferson or Aaron Jones or Jonathan Taylor category. Going down to Well Vaca, there's actually a decent Well Vaca guy tonight. Mo Alley Cox, tight end for the Indianapolis Colts, plus 750. He's had 4 targets in each of Flacco's 2 starts and a solo touchdown this season that he has attributed to Joe Flacco. So Mo Alley Cox at plus 750. That's a quarter of a unit. I threw $5 on it. I think it's something I'm rooting for. Well, Vaca is going to be Mo Alley Cox at plus 750. Michael Pittman plus 220. Alec Pierce plus 350. It's very Colts dominant. That's what this entire show has been. That's where all my bets are. Plus 5.5. I think they make this competitive. We're going to find out if the Minnesota Vikings, were they fool's gold? Are they really a playoff contender? They blow the doors off the Colts tonight. I'll feel a little bit more comfortable for them as a playoff team, but they dropped 2 straight. They were 2 decent teams. I'm going to put the Rams in that conversation as they just fucking let up a touchdown to the Seattle Seahawks. 6-3 now. They missed the extra point. We're going to find out a lot about Minnesota tonight. I'm riding heavy on the Colts. I think they make it competitive. Not necessarily win, but make it competitive. Jordan Addison, another guy. I didn't throw him up here. Jordan Addison will be a guy that I have my eye on. I think he bounces back from a weak game against the Rams. That's it for me. Mo Alley Cox plus 750, Michael Pittman plus 220, Alec Pierce plus 350. One of those 3, I'm confident we'll get in the end zone. The way we manage our units depends if we're profitable. But my 1 unit and half unit play, Flacco half unit over 1.5 passing touchdowns plus 136. 1 full unit on Michael Pittman over 52.5 receiving yards. This is a decent game that we're going to get tonight compared to what we've seen in a few weeks past. I will see you tomorrow night for Monday Night Football, where we have the Bucs and the Chiefs, and maybe the Chiefs finally drop a game, but I doubt it. Take care.